Today we're playing Warcraft Rumble, which is brought to you by today's video sponsor, Blizzard. In this guide, I'm going to provide you with my top 3 armies for PvP battles, which will include a breakdown of the armies and how I use each unit to dominate my opponents. Now, if you watch my beginner's guide, there was a section that outlined the gold control battle in PvP. And when it comes to building these armies, I have to ask myself, how can I make sure that I claim far more gold than my opponent to basically stay on offense and keep putting pressure on them, since we both have level 1 minis. So for army number 1, our leader is Rend Blackhand, which is a flying unit that deals AoE elemental damage and starts out as a flying unit but dismounts when the dragon is destroyed to deal serious damage against opponents. This leader's ability reduces the cost of flying units by 1 gold while he's in play. So this comes in really handy if you have the Drake and Whelp Eggs in your army. The army itself is constructed with 3 unbound minis in the Quillbore, Whelp Eggs, and Dark Iron Miner, and they can be used in a variety of different ways. Then we have the Harvest Golem, which serves as a great tank for the Pyromancer because she deals ranged AoE damage. And the Drake I normally run with Rend Blackhand himself. The average cost of this army is 3.3 gold. So when we start a PvP match, there are 2 chests in the center of the map and 1 gold vein close to our respective barracks. The goal is to gain control of the gold spawn points so I can place more minis. This is where the unbounds come in really handy, because in this match I start by using the Quillbore to take a chest and the Dark Iron Miner to claim the enemy's gold vein. Ideally, you only need to focus on clearing the enemy's farthest barracks to win, so I don't even normally bother going after the first. Then I use the Harvest Golem and Pyromancer together to come up through the center of the map and Rend Blackhand on the 3rd lane to work on his core hounds. This player decided to pressure the 1st lane, so I repeated the tank and range AoE units. You'll notice that I'm purposely not using the Quillbore because it will be used to claim the gold chest. Now, my main focus in these matches is to control the center of the map. And with the gold collected, Rend Blackhand and the Drake are dropped in the 3rd lane to add direct pressure to his main barracks. And even though he sends the Huntress down the center lane, I didn't freak out. I just dropped the Harvest Golem and Pyromancer to deal with that, and the Whelp Eggs in front of his barracks to assist with the leader's push. And at this point, there really wasn't much this player could do to stop me because of his own gold consumption. For army number 2, we have Sylvanas Windrunner, who is a ranged unit with a really cool trait called Haunt, which summons a Banshee upon death and can take control of one of the enemy's units. This army also has 3 unbound minis in the Quillbore, Skeletons, and Skeleton Party, with the Ghoul, who can tank for Sylvanas Windrunner herself, the Chain Lightning, which is really a flex spell, and the Griffin Rider, who can target ground units advancing on your barracks. This army costs an average of 2.9 gold. So with the gold battle in the center of the map fresh in your mind, I start out the same way as the last army, with the Quillbore being used on a chest, Kobold to mine gold near my barracks, and the Skeleton Party on their Kobold. Now, this player was able to claim some gold, so I had to go on defense for a moment by dropping the Ghoul and Sylvana Windrunner in the center lane and the Griffin Rider in the 3rd. I did end up taking some damage to my barracks, but this is where the unbounds changed the course of the match. I used the Quillbore to clear his Kobold, the Skeletons and Skeleton Party to tank for my leader, who claimed some gold. Then my Kobold down the 3rd lane to take his gold, and the Ghoul to repeat the center lane presence, followed by Sylvana Windrunner down the 3rd. At this point, with the gold points on lockdown and the pressure on his barracks, the unbound skeleton units will easily tank for the leader to finish out this match, thanks to the Banshee doing further damage to the tower. The last army is actually one of my favorites and is built around Maeve Shadowsong, who is an unbound leader that can be used in multiple different ways. There's 1 other unbound unit in the Quillbore. Then we have the tank and ranged AoE combo in the Footman and Huntress, Chain Lightning, which is our flex spell, and lastly the Defias Bandits used for tower defense, and the Griffin Rider for the air. This army costs an average of 3.3 gold. And in this match, I start off in a very similar way, trying to gain control of the chest, but instead had to shift back into defense quickly. One of the best parts about this leader is that you can place it anywhere around the map, and it does damage to multiple units. The problem is I was facing off against another really powerful leader in Baron Rivendare, who can summon skeletons at buildings under the user's control. But when you're building these armies, you have to think about how much they cost. So this opponent was able to put a lot of pressure on my tower from the start. I used Chain Lightnings in this army to stop the Kobold gold collection most of the time, and sometimes you might need to shift an unbound to slow an enemy's push, like I did here by using the Quillbore to distract for the Huntress. Then Kobold to mine gold in the the first lane, and Maeve to claim a chest in the center. This is where the match quickly shifted in my direction thanks to goal control. With my leader traveling up the center lane, I started a footman huntress push in the third while using a quillbore to claim the second chest, and a chain lightning to shut down his kobold. With my main effort arriving on his barracks, I used Maeve's Shadow Song once more to clear any defensive units he might place while still targeting gold collection. But it really didn't matter, I just had far too many units down there for him to stop. So if you prioritize controlling the gold spawn points, you should be able to dominate your opponents with any of these armies. And if you haven't tried it yet, be sure to download Warcraft Rumble by clicking the link down in the description, and thank you to Blizzard for sponsoring today's video.